2023 was full of learning experiences for me, whether it was stepping out of my comfort zone and putting myself here on YouTube and trying this whole YouTube channel thing out for the first time, to developing color film and everything else I've been doing, like building my darkroom. We're about this close to doing enlargements, and so that's super cool. But as 2023 kind of came to a close, I had a trip out to California coming up, and I felt like I was missing something from my collection of lenses. And when I came across a 17mm 3.5 for less than $90, you bet your sweet bippy I bought it. This is the Tamron SP Adaptall 17mm 3.5, and the name is actually kind of self-explanatory. It can adapt to all cameras. You can see here on this lens that there's actually two aperture rings. That's because there's the aperture ring on the lens and the aperture ring on the mount for it. And that's because this aperture ring is actually part of the lens mount that is able to be removed, that you can then swap out for, let's say, a Nikon mount or a Canon mount. And that's why the 17mm is probably the only ultra wide that I'll buy for my SLR setups, because I don't really need another one. So I actually bought this lens back in December, and I wasn't really sure if it was going to get here on time, and so I actually had it mailed to my parents' house in California so I could pick it up and then go on vacation from there with it. I met up with Will over at Steps and Stones. If you aren't subscribed to him already, please do. He makes some fantastic work.
So meta right now.
But Will kindly showed me around Los Angeles and some of the areas that he knew. We also went out and got some hot chicken and did some sweet street photography. So these are some of those photos. I'll be honest, I don't shoot street a whole lot. I used to back in the day. I haven't in a very long time, so it's not something I'm super comfortable nor familiar with, and kind of trying to be quick with my photos, but while also, think of my composition and things like that is something that I'm still trying to get the balance of, while also trying to navigate around the anxiety of photographing strangers and people out in public. But man, do I love some of these shots. Granted, they're not all bangers, but one of the kind of photos that I'm more and more intrigued by the more I go out and do street is these kind of blurry, motion-filled, passing glance photos. You don't, see all the sharp details of these individuals, but you get a general sense of the motion. They're moving, they're going somewhere, who they are, what they kind of look like, and what they're doing. I don't know, something about this. But so far, this lens is surprisingly great. It's not the sharpest lens in the world by any mean, but it's plenty sharp, and I promise you that. The focusing is extremely nice because it has a fairly short throw, but also if you're focusing, like zone focusing, this lens is an absolute breeze. And honestly, if you stop this thing down to f11, f16, everything's in focus. But sadly, the trip to Los Angeles had to come to an end, and so we said our goodbyes, and my wife and I actually headed over to Omo Mercado. It's a natural wine bar kind of market that my buddy owns over in Upland, and I wanted to get some shots of the building on some Cinestill. And just like that, the vacation was over. We're back home. We're here in Iowa, and I haven't had enough of this lens just yet. So I actually went out and hit the streets of downtown Sioux City to do some street photography out there. Overall, I really do love this lens, and I think it's earned a permanent spot in my collection for a couple of reasons. One, again, it's an ultra wide that was affordable, that I can change the mount on and mount onto any camera that I have in my collection. It's sharp, it's fast, just no complaints there. But again, like I mentioned, there are a couple of caveats. One of those caveats is the lens hood. The lens hood is fine. It mounts on very easily, and it has these kind of 2 tension screws on the side there. But the only problem is that if you don't have the lens hood on, extremely spot on, you're going to get it in some of your shots. I'll show a couple of examples here, and I'll show you how you can see some vignetting in the corners. So there is one more caveat that does also have to do with the lens hood, actually. The filter screws, or your filter threads for throwing on filters on your lens, is on the lens hood. It's not actually on the lens. But if you're looking for an ultra wide that is sharp, it's relatively fast, it's relatively affordable, and you can adapt it to multiple camera bodies depending on what mounts that you have, the Tamron Adaptall 17mm 3.5 is definitely an option that you should be looking into. This is a really nice lens. It's small, it's compact, it looks pretty nice too. And yeah, I mean, no complaints here besides the lens hood being a bit obnoxious. But if you have any questions that I maybe didn't cover in this video here, please feel free to let me know in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer any questions. As well, if you have any recommendations for an ultra wide that you like, let us know in the comments down below. Sharing is caring. But before I go, I really just wanted to say thank you guys for all your support on the recent videos. It's been interesting over the past year, kind of seeing the small growth this channel has gained. And I love seeing all the reoccurring names in the comments and in the likes and on Instagram and everything. I see you guys. I appreciate your guys' support more than you know. And I'm excited to see where this channel goes. So here's to a fantastic 2024. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great one. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.